Is it an SUV or an MPV? The Dodge Journey is tough to pin down, but think of it as an MPV that looks like an SUV and you'll be near the mark. It has strong practicality, a decently finished interior by American standards, and is more exciting to look at than your average 7-seater. Go on, live a little.
Nothing very trendy or dynamic about a 7-seat people carrier. One step down from a minibus and not too far removed from a Routemaster double-decker. They're bought by people with large sprawling families who stubbornly refuse to fit into anything else. Recently, however, manufacturers have been taking steps to reduce the inherent frumpiness of this type of vehicle, and with some success. Ford, for example, bought us the S-Max, an attractive vehicle that concentrated on sportiness and a fun driving experience. While here we've got the Dodge Journey, a 7-seat MPV with off-roader overtones. Don't get me wrong, it would be a brave or a foolhardy individual that ventured off the asphalt in a Dodge Journey. It's essentially a Chrysler Grand Voyager MPV with a shorter wheelbase and is strictly front-wheel drive. What it has, however, is the look of a 4x4 with its squared-off frontage and blistered wheel arches. It's certainly not your typical MPV shape. The Journey is propelled by one of two engines. The entry-level 2.4 litre petrol unit is nothing to get excited about and is mainly there to provide an attractive baseline price and to sate those who can't abide diesel. It produces a respectable 168 brake horsepower, but its peak torque figure of 220 Newton meters is produced at 4,500 RPM, so you have to rev it quite a bit. And it can't live with the low-end grunt of the diesel, which produces its peak torque, its peak pulling power figure at just 2,500 RPM, and that's 310 Newton meters of torque. It makes a real difference when you're driving this car around town. You don't have to row it along with the gear lever when you've got the diesel engine under the bonnet. Now that CRD diesel is a Volkswagen sourced direct injection 2 litre 138 brake horsepower unit. It's a pleasanter engine from a driving perspective than its petrol counterpart, though it is a bit noisier. In CRD trim, you can wind the Journey up to a claimed maximum speed of 116 miles an hour before the airflow defeats it. You'd have to say that the Dodge Journey drives like the big American MPV come SUV that it is, so it's not the kind of car you'd go and throw around country lanes. Mind you, you can hustle it through a set of twists faster than you might think, thanks to a set of rather stiff anti-roll bars, and they make the steering really quite precise, so you can hustle it around your favourite B road with a bit more vigour than you might expect. Now, it's certainly fine on the straightaways, and if you use it for sort of normal family use, it's going to be quite adequate. The diesel engine's available with the twin-clutch semi-automatic gearbox that was pioneered by Volkswagen, but for most people, the standard 6-speed manual box that comes as standard will be a better bet. The petrol model comes with a 5-speed manual gearbox. It's the interior that Dodge Journey buyers will be most interested in. You've got 7 seats and all provide a reasonable amount of space, as long as you're not intending to keep 2 adults in the third row for any length of time. Now, the all-important middle row here is particularly spacious. You've got seats that fold 60-40, as you can see, and each of them is able to slide backwards and forwards, so you can maximise either rear occupant legroom or rear luggage space as you wish. Access to the rearmost seats is also quite straightforward, with a simple tug on the lever of the outside seat of the middle row, enabling it to fold and slide right forward, so that you can enter with at least a degree of dignity. Of course, with all 3 rows in place, baggage room is at a premium, with only 303 litres back here. If you want to maximise luggage space, then of course all the seats fold flat into the floor, even with a clever head restraint folding mechanism here, and you've got an uninterrupted loading area of a maximum of 1,914 litres. And as you can see, you can even fold the front passenger seat down flat, so you can accommodate large items like surfboards or bicycles. And that flexibility is carried over to the middle row. Here in the centre of the car, I've got my own ventilation and heating controls. And it's also noticeable that both the front seats have been raised quite high, and that's to accommodate a couple of optional storage bins which can fit under them and accommodate up to 12 cans of drink in bins with washable, removable liners. It's all really nice attention to detail. In this centre row, you've got a section that folds forward and reveals 2 drinks holders and a storage area. Here at the front, you've got 2 glove boxes, the area incorporating a chill zone for 2 more drinks cans, while the front passenger seat has a flip and stow mechanism that enables you to lift up the seat cushion and reveal yet another storage area. If you fold the front passenger seat forward, you've got a tabletop. What else? Well, there are bottle holders in all 4 side doors and yet another underfloor storage compartment here behind the 3rd row of seats to keep your valuables out of sight. There are 4 12-volt power outlets distributed around the car, and really thoughtful touches. Someone's really sat down and given some consideration to how families will use this car. Even the front seat area cup holders glow at night, so you can easily locate your can of drink. You've also got a rechargeable torch in the back here, and there's the option of a park assistance display that's on the screen on the front on the MyGig sat-nav system. Prices for the Journey look attractive, sitting in the £17,000 to £23,000 price bracket. Now that's about 10% less than obvious rivals. The old American adage of providing lots of metal for the money has obviously been central behind the thinking with this vehicle. So you get plenty of equipment as standard, including 3-zone climate control, tyre pressure sensors, a 6 CD stereo and electric almost everything. There's plenty of safety kit too, with ESP stability control and curtain airbags that run down the length of the vehicle. Dodge would have us believe that the Journey is a crossover. That's a rather woolly industry term that you can take as meaning either the best of both worlds or neither one thing nor the other. It really depends on your point of view. In market terms, it goes up against other 7-seat MPV people carriers, aiming to win sales with its 4x4 inspired styling and strong value proposition. The CRD diesel engine that's offered in the Journey is the one to choose if you're concerned about running costs. The petrol engine isn't the most efficient of units after all, and its 32 mpg combined fuel economy figure and 209 grams per kilometre of CO2 showing may initiate a few second thoughts. The CRD, in contrast, returns 43.5 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle and puts out 170 grams per kilometre of CO2. Insurance groups, well, they range between 10 and 11. Despite the SUV style exterior, the Journey is a conventional front-wheel drive MPV and has all the features that buyers would expect. All the seats fold flat to create a perfectly level loading floor, and there are those useful underfloor cubbies to keep everything neat and tidy. The driving experience, well, it won't delight budding Lewis Hamiltons, but the Journey rides perfectly well on reasonable surfaces and is a comfortable car on long motorway trips. We'd avoid the entry-level 2.4 litre petrol version and instead go for the Volkswagen-sourced 2 litre diesel. If you like the idea of a large MPV with its multiple seating and storage options, but have been put off by the, well, let's be honest, less than dynamic image that these kinds of vehicles also often bear, then Dodge might have the answer here. It's big, it's well equipped, and it's tightly priced. If you've been looking for a large MPV, you've got a growing family, then this car probably won't have been on your shopping list, but perhaps it should be.